Welcome, everybody, to our 2021 NFL mock draft. How this is going to work is we're going to go over picks 1 through 17. 17 because the Raiders pick at 17, and Trevor Lawrence is a given at number 1. So we'll still do half the picks, 16 picks, ending with the Raiders at 17 because I want to talk about the Raiders a little bit. How it's going to work is I am going to be making the picks for the even-numbered picks, so the even-numbered teams, and Drew will be doing the odd numbers, and we'll go back and forth, and that will be our mock draft through picks 17. So let's jump right into it. On the clock right now is Jacksonville. We're just going to draft Lawrence, right? No, just a fact. Trevor Lawrence is going number 1 overall. Shock the draft world, Jacksonville. Trade him. Mix it up. I dare you, but they're not going to. So number 2 is my pick as the New York Jets, and I like Sam Wilson from Falcon Winter Soldier. That's what I was going to say. I like Zach Wilson. I have Jets picking Zach Wilson number 2. I think he's a great pick for them. Great fit. It's the guy Robert Saleh wants. No reason not to do it. That's their pick, number 2.
Man, overdrafting already. I'll do a fast start. What a classic Jets pick. What's crazy is that I do think Zach Wilson is going number 2. I just really disagree with that pick. Anyways, number 3.
Who do you think they should draft instead? Like, do you think they should do a quarterback and just a different one?
Yeah, and in fact, Kyle, I'm thrilled because you gifted me the opportunity to get the second best quarterback in this class, Justin Fields. Now, what's interesting about this pick is that I don't know whether it's going to be Fields or Mac Jones. I will say they are still going to the pro days for Justin Fields and for Trey Lance. They have not committed to anything yet. So although there's been a lot of Mac Jones speculation, I think the 49ers will come to their senses, make the correct pick, which I'm making right now, which is Justin Fields from the Ohio State University.
All right, yeah, Justin Fields. That makes sense to me. I don't know why they would trade up the 3 to get Mac Jones.
Big Mac Jones.
Even Trey Lance makes more sense to me than them jumping up for Justin Fields or for Mac Jones. So, all right, so we have it 3 quarterbacks going already, and now the 4 pick. So we know Atlanta. We talked about it earlier. Atlanta is interested in trading. Now I want to know if there's any teams that you are going to be representing in the top 17 or more that would be willing to trade.
Yeah, there's actually 2 teams that I have willing to trade right now. I'm actually gonna pull the trigger. I think it's more likely that Washington makes this move. I think that the Broncos are too stubborn. I think they're going to stick behind Drew Lock for one more season. So we're going to go ahead and have the Washington football team moving from 13 to 4. We'll give you a boatload of other mid to late round picks.
They're at 19.
They're at 19? Oh, I'm
19,
sorry.
Yeah.
Well, they'll go ahead and move up to 19. So we'll give you
19 to 4.
Next year's 1 and the 1 the year after that.
Oh, wow. So 3 first-round picks to get up to 4
3 first-round picks for that number 4. But with that, Kyle, since it is now my pick at number 4, we are going to
Hold on. The website says, nah, that trade's dumb.
Wait, really? 3 first-round picks?
Apparently. Look, I agree. I think Washington is the team here. I'm not going to worry about the compensation. We'll force the trade. Don't worry. I just thought it was funny. The first time I've done like 8 mock drafts on this site just because I think it's fun. It's kind of fun just to mess around and do trades without forcing it. This is the first time a trade has been denied, and I just find that hilarious.
I thought that was even too much to give up, man. Okay.
I think that's what it is. I think it's too much, and Washington wouldn't do that.
Well, that's why I was okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyways, yeah.
With that pick though, the Washington football team will be selecting the 4th best quarterback, Trey Lance. I can't believe we're seeing quarterbacks go 1, 2, 3, 4, but it is a quarterback league, and I'm a quarterback girl. I was trying to think like I'm a Bart. Okay, anyways. So number 4 going with Trey Lance. I have 3 picks in a row right here, which is super fun. So with our 5th pick, the Cincinnati Bengals. Sometimes, Kyle, you are just gifted the perfect player at the perfect spot. And this is really what I think happened for the Bengals in this spot. Knowing them, they're going to screw it up somehow. But Penei Sewell, the left tackle from Oregon, phenomenal, strong, big athlete, needs to work on his footwork and a couple other things. But man, overall, best tackle in the draft. you need to upgrade that offensive line. Not even just the injury last year to Joe Burrow, but the amount of sacks and pressures he had.
Yeah.
That's what they had to shore up. He's the best player available. It makes all the sense in the world for Penei Sewell to go 5th overall to Cincinnati.
Yeah, I totally agree. Since if Penny is if he's there right at that moment at 5, there's no reason he shouldn't be. Yeah, it makes sense. I think that's their biggest need is get this guy. He's a dog. But Kyle Pitts is sitting right there too. Still available. I could see Bengals doing that, but I think the smart choice, like I agree with you, tackle.
Well,
tackle.
and I could say too. I mean, they technically do need some receiving help too, but they also just drafted T. Higgins. They've drafted a lot of great receivers over the years. Ocho Cinco, T.J. Houshmandzadeh, Tyler Boyd, A.J. Green. Like they've developed receivers relatively well in their history. And I think that you're able to find a couple other spots. But bottom line, if you can't give Joe Burrow time, it doesn't matter who those receivers are, right? So yeah, going with that. And then now we go back to Kyle at the 6th overall pick in the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Miami would have loved to absolutely get Sewell, and I think these two picks can be swapped. I think if Bengals take Pitts, the Dolphins are taking Penny. If they take Sewell like you said him, Bengals, Miami's getting Kyle Pitts. They're gonna give Tua more weapons. It's a once. Look, I think it might be a little high for a tight end, but it can definitely work out. And this is the player that can justify picking a tight end this high. And I think it's hard for Miami to pass him up. We don't know what Tua's about yet fully. Get him more weapons. Get him a guy like Kyle Pitts down there. They already have Gesicki, which is a little weird, but hey, New England ran a 2 tight end system. It worked. You can make it work. And then you also have trade assets later. Gesicki would be a great trade item to get some more draft picks later down the road. So I think this is the pick for the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, I think I completely agree there. Like they're going offense somewhere, right? It's either him or Ja'Marr Chase. I think, but surround Tua with as many weapons as you can because he needs those weapons, right? Number 7, we have the Lions here. I wish I could draft some kneecaps because they're going to need some of those with their new head coach. Some people have them going tackle here, which is funny because that's not even one of their major needs. I really think that they are going to go with Ja'Marr Chase here, the receiver from LSU. I think you need to give Jared Goff a real opportunity. I'm not saying that he's going to be, a Pro Bowler, but I think you at least need to see what you have in him. You got rid of your best receiver, Kenny Galladay from the following season. I think you have to do something there to give Jared Goff confidence. So Ja'Marr Chase is at the pick there, even though he didn't play this past year.
For sure, yeah. All right, going on now to Carolina at 8. This is where the draft starts to get a little difficult for me. I think the top 7 is like a little obvious. This is where I have to start thinking about it, and I'm gonna go with Devontae Smith for Carolina. They just brought in Sam Darnold. Rahul mentioned in a press conference they're still going to be looking at quarterbacks. So if one of those top 4 quarterbacks that already went drop down to 8, I think they do draft a quarterback. But since they're already gone, they're going to make sure Sam Darnold has weapons. And a Heisman winner is definitely a decent option, right? Definitely a decent weapon. So I have him going to Devontae Smith at 8.
Man, this is such a tough choice at 9 here with the Denver Broncos because I'm not a Drew Lock believer, and I think Mac Jones is. He is available. I'm not sure if Mac Jones is a huge upgrade. They didn't go up to take him, and to solidify that defense entirely, I think you really need one additional linebacker. I think the best player on the board right now is Micah Parsons. I think he's that X factor, which at the end of the day, you could argue that the Broncos have the best division or have the best defense in the AFC West. Although I think they have the worst quarterback in the AFC West, you get Micah Parsons. I think you have an elite defensive squad. So we're going with that pick for the Broncos.
Yeah, that's a pick that had in the division with 3 decently good quarterbacks. decently good offense, and I'm being very nice about it. Like you have the Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Raiders, who all had good offenses last
Yep,
season.
good.
Denver clearly brought in so much defensive help. This just kind of makes sense. They can't get a quarterback. They don't want to trade away too much, or internally they do believe in Drew Lock. Let's shore up the defense to stop the other division opponent. So I love that pick there. Now we have Dallas, who honestly could do whatever they want with Jerry Jones. Who knows? But I'm not going to spend much time. Their offense is not the issue. That's why I don't believe the mock drafts that have them jumping up to grab Kyle Pitts. Yeah, sure, that would be a good move for them, I guess. But they have too many things on the offense side. So I have them picking Patrick Surtain, the third cornerback. Just on the board right now, it's the best defensive player, and they do need help on that back end. Their defense was atrocious ever since they lost Byron Jones, and they haven't been that good even with him there. They kind of struggled. So I have them picking a cornerback right there at 10.
I absolutely love that. This is one of my favorite things about this draft too. There's like 4 sons of players that I grew up watching, and you might be younger than what this actual generation was in like 2 or 3 years. That's when we'll catch up. But like J.C. Horn is Joe Horn's kid. Patrick Surtain, the second is Patrick Surtain's kid. A couple more that we'll go through, but it's just cool. Antoine Winfield last year, right? Like these are players that I grew up rooting for, and now to see their sons do it, it's just a cool thing.
Yeah, cool.
With the New York Giants here, 11. There's a lot that they need. I hate doing this because I'm hoping that the Chargers are going to be able to get this guy at 13. But if I'm really looking at what I think the Giants need, I think it's Rashawn Slater. It's the tackle from a Northwestern. He can play inside. He can play outside. They shore up that offensive line. That's going to help Saquon Barkley. Their first round pick last year, the left tackle, Andrew something, he did play better during the second half of the season for sure. But if you look at the 4 left tackles that went in the top 10 last year, Andrew Thomas was not the guy. He did not come as advertised. Offensive line play wasn't great really across the board. I think when you have a young quarterback like Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley, your defense is already pretty good. Rashawn Slater's the pick there to solidify that interior.
That's a good pick. Yeah. Now 12, we have Philadelphia Eagles. I'm surprised Jalen Waddle's still on the board, and I think if he falls to this moment to them, I think they have to pick him up. I honestly think J.C. Horn is the better pick for them, but I think it's going to be hard for them. And I don't think any other team before them would actually pick up Waddle, but I think they're going to end up, he's going to be right there. They're going to draft him to help Jalen Hurts have more weapons. They really don't have a ton of fantastic receiving options. This guy could be that for them. So I have them picking Waddle right there.
Yeah, if you want to give Jalen Hurts any opportunity, which I think it's funny that they list quarterback as a need for the Eagles, which on their depth chart certainly, but they're sticking with Hurts this year. I think it's how I felt about Jared Goff too, right? Like if you want to actually see what he can do, surround him with some weapons. You have so many holes. That's why you traded back, that it's not going to matter a whole lot at this time. I love that pick of Jalen Waddle going there. I definitely think Waddle or Devontae Smith, whichever one happens to be there, they're going to end up taking there. And I think both fit into that Eagles system.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Both Waddle and Smith, they really could just swap positions. Like Waddle could go first. I think. Yeah. I think it really just depends on. I mean, we have Carolina taking Smith. I think if Carolina liked Waddle more, easily switch them.
Absolutely.
So
I think Jamar Chase is going first there. I have seen some where Waddle goes ahead of Chase. I do not agree with those though. So now we have the Chargers, the Los Angeles Chargers at pick 13. This is kind of a weird spot because there
Mac
are
Jones. No.
Yeah, Mac Jones. This is the one team I'm like very confident it's not taking Mac Jones, right? What's crazy to me is that you do have a couple tackles on the board still, right? Like you have Darisaw from Virginia Tech. I think you're going to be overdrafting a tackle here, but I don't think that you're probably not going to be able to trade like 5 picks back. I would be surprised. I mean, maybe the Bears or a team like that moves up to get, Mac Jones or something. Doubt it. So because of that, even though I think it's a little bit of an overdraft, we're still going to go with Christian Darrisaw. That left tackle is the most glaring hole on the entire roster for the Chargers. They were able to bring in Corey Linsley, the best center in the NFL. They were able to bring in a guard from Pittsburgh. They brought in Brian Bulaga last year to play right tackle. So if you do this, you at least have a line that should be mediocre at worst, right? Like you are investing so much into Justin Herbert that you have to do everything you can to protect him. You have Jared Cook, you have Austin Eckler, you have Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. You do want to add some more skill players later on in this draft for sure. But I would want to shore up that offensive line. I'm a big believer in that too. Obviously, with the picks I've had so far here, before I worry about anything else.
Yeah, I think you picked 3 tackles so far.
Hey, offensive line play is important, man.
Yeah, it's the nature of those teams being where they're at. They all need offense, but that's just funny. Yeah, all right, Minnesota at 14. Man, this one's hard. I had them taking a safety here, but I also had Barmore already gone, and I think with Christian Barmore just sitting there, I think Minnesota takes it. I think they're going to draft Barmore if he falls down there. Not the most, I don't think he's like a dominant player. I think he can also fall to the second round in some scenarios, but I think having that interior presence is just, they're not going to pass it up. I think he's the best player on the board. They could go cornerback, but I think they're fine in the secondary as well. So I have them picking up Barmore with how this board shook out.
Then we have, sorry, I was just starting to think. All right, so then we have the 15th overall pick here. Now, this is why it's so weird, because this is where I originally had Mac Jones going earlier in the offseason. He's, shot up a lot of these boards. If he's there, this is tough too, because the Patriots went all in on a Cam Newton offense this year, spent big money and free agency, shoring up that offensive line, bringing in 2 phenomenal tight ends, signing new receivers. So part of me definitely thinks that, like, yeah, maybe you go ahead and you add some more help with Elijah Moore or Rashawn Bateman. But Cam Newton to me is a ticking clock. He's rarely able to stay healthy for a whole season. I mean, last year even missed a game. Granted, that was because of COVID and like other stuff, but still, yeah. Let's do it. I'm going Mac Jones here, 15th overall.
Yeah, I was like, so far everyone who's done a mock draft, it's 15.1. That's where he gets picked. More often than not, yeah.
I would say from a value perspective, I still think this is too high for Mac Jones.
Fair. That's a fair critique. Yeah. I think, I don't think New England jumps up, and I think they are. I think Belichick's ecstatic if Mac Jones falls to them, and they don't have to waste any assets jumping up to grab him. So, I like the pick. It's a Belichick pick, honestly. All right, then we have Arizona Cardinals at 16. I mean, J.C. Horn's still on the board. That's where they're going. They're getting him. They're off that Arizona offense, and then also adding J.J. Watt along with Chandler Jones up front, like shore up that backside. Patrick Peterson's gone.
Absolutely.
You need to have someone. J.C. Horn's right there.
And you got Budda Baker at safety. Like,
you got to keep up with the Rams, the Seahawks, that division. Now the Niners potentially having a quarterback based on our draft. Yeah, you're going defense with that player right there. Beautiful.
100% agree with that pick. If he's there, he's that's another one of those just perfect spot fix.
Yeah.
Perfect fit spots. And then our last draft of the first round.
I'm so interested in what you think.
Yeah, we have the Raiders on the clock. It's like we're for sure going defense, right?
Thank you. That's all I care about. Yep. Thank you.
I mean, that's the name of the game. I would probably defer to you at like a certain point, but I would say their back end, they already have a couple young corners and safeties, which I think more than anything, they need time in the offseason and chemistry and a lot of those things. They have a new defensive coordinator as well. So maybe if Gus Bradley loves one of these safeties or corners, I think that that's fine. I don't hate that. You can never have too many good, defensive backs. But when you really look at where the Raiders are right now, I think their biggest issue on defense is just they haven't had a pass rusher since Khalil Mack. They haven't had an elite pass rusher since Khalil Mack. So I think even though they signed a couple guys this offseason, like Yannick Ngakoue and a few others, I think they're still going with either Jason Oweh or Kwity Paye here.
Wow, interesting.
So let's go with Michigan's Kwity Paye. I don't even know if that's how you say his name,
It's probably
but to get some of that pass rush going.
All right, there it is. That's your pick. I would have went Jeremiah Owasora, or wow, I messed that in Koromoa. Linebacker play has never been great for the Raiders over the past decade, especially with Travis Kelce in that division. Literally, we would have beat the Chiefs twice if someone covered Travis Kelce in our second game. We've always been beat in the middle by tight ends over the past decade. So I'd like a linebacker pick here. And based on the way the board shook out, I think Koromoa is the guy. I don't hate the Kwity Paye pick, but honestly, I think the defensive line is fine. I think internally they're happy with where they're at. They went after free agents to fix the line. Now they're going to fix other things in the drafts, but that's my opinion. I like the pick though. But I think it's Koromoa is their guy if this is how the board shakes out. I don't think they go cornerback or safety because of the reasons you put. They have a lot of young guys. They've taken cornerbacks high in the draft the past 2 years. They just re-signed Carl Joseph, brought him back, who he excelled. I mean, he wasn't the best player in Cleveland given the fact that they also just let him walk, but he performed better there. And I think him, Abe, and Jonathan Abram in the back end in Gus Bradley's scheme, that has the potential to be reminiscent of what Cam Chancellor and that Legion of Boom was. I'm not saying they're ever going to get there because they have a ton of work to do, Carl Joseph and Abram, but it could be reminiscent of that, and I think they're going to let it play out there.
Yeah,
linebacker, fix that position, please.
And that's the only other guy I think that I would have done outside of pass rusher here, just because I think that I agree with what you said. Notre Dame linebackers historically kind of scare me, but I also think that that's a really dumb argument to make against Justin Fields being a quarterback from Ohio State. So I don't know. I mean, how I can believe those two things at the same time. They also historically, and this goes back before Gruden and Mayock, they are not really good at drafting defensive backs. Like even, I mean, some of the safeties and corners that they've taken in the first round of the years. I mean, even going back to like Michael Huff and stuff, right? Like, and maybe it's not so much that they've missed on the players, but they haven't developed them. But that's something that I think makes a ton of sense. I agree with that linebacker pick there. I will say, from a practical perspective, yeah, me taking a defensive lineman edge rusher there, they have too many edge rushers. But if the edge rusher is also playing linebacker too, some of these guys are older. I don't think Ngakoue is going to be any type of long-term answer. So that's more where I'm seeing if you want to, if you think any of these guys are elite, it is rare that we haven't seen any pass rushers go so far. Normally you have a pass rusher going like top 5, top 10, at least top 15, and you're getting the top pass rusher in the draft, right? So
yeah, no, picks 1 through 8 are all offense. All right, so those are our top picks. We have Trevor Lawrence going first, and then the board falls as it does. Be interested. I think this draft overall is going to be weird. I think we're going to get some weird moves.
Well, that's the thing. Like, there's going to be something stupid, like somebody, trading up to get Mitch Trubisky or something like that. So, like, I mean, maybe Mac Jones goes 3rd overall, and the whole thing is, changed from there, which it really totally does too, right? Because if Mac Jones goes 3, all of a sudden there's a quarterback available at 8. Maybe you get him because you're not sure about Sam Darnold and stuff, right? So, just tons of different things that could play out here.
100%, yeah. So, yep, there's our mock draft. We'll see how this plays out. Draft is in 2 weeks. I don't think we're going to do another one unless a big trade happens that shakes up, unless the 4 pick does get traded before the draft. But this is it. Draft night's coming. Be fun, but can't wait for games, right?